Hickory Springs was started by Parks Underdown, who lived in Lenore at the time, basically out of necessity. Parks was partners in about 5 or 6 different furniture companies. He was the best salesman I ever met in my life. My dad was number 2, but Parks was number 1. Parks could sell anything to anybody. And what he would do is he would find somebody that knew how to make furniture. They would set up an operation, 50-50 ownership. Parks would go out there and sell it out and still be looking for something to do. So instead of expanding that and trying to grow those, because his partners generally didn't have any money other than what they were bringing in from that, he would find somebody else and start another one. Sell it out, go start another one, sell it out. Well, the war hit. It got to be hard to get metal to make or buy springs because companies couldn't get metal to make springs. Parks got hold of some spring making equipment, and through a loophole or whatever you want to call it from the rationing board, startup companies could get a small amount of steel, since it was a controlled substance at the time for the war effort, to make a product that was deemed necessary for the war effort. Well, furniture and mattresses were deemed necessary for the war effort. So Parks started up Hickory Springs primarily to supply springs to his own furniture companies. Now, as that business grew and some of his partners wanted out and everything else, he basically foreclosed all of his furniture companies and concentrated on Hickory Springs. Now, he had a son and a daughter. The son was Neil Underdown, Parks Jr. The daughter was Dorothy Underdown, who married a guy named Bob Simmons. Both of them, after college, and Neil with a short stint in the Navy, came in and joined Hickory Springs. Neil in finance and administration, Bob Simmons, vice president of manufacturing. My father, who was the next door neighbor in Lenore to the Underdowns, also a distant cousin, something like third cousins or something like that. There's Parks's grandmother or something was a Bush way back in the day. And there's a lot of Bushes up in Lenore, so that's not unusual. But they were next door neighbors. Dad and Neil were best friends growing up. So Dad worked summers while he was in high school and college. And then when he graduated in 1953, he graduated from Duke and went to work for Parks as as vice president of sales. His only salesman was Parks. So if they had a officers meeting, Parks was in charge. If they had a sales meeting, Dad was in charge. That's the way family companies go. So the 3 of them, 4 of them to begin with, but Parks soon retired and has since died. I think it was 84 when he died. I won't swear to it. But he died then, and Dad and Neil and Bob Simmons took over and grew it to where it is today. I mean, it had grown substantially, but the real growth was when the second generation took over. And now Neil Underdown and my dad are both deceased. Bob Simmons is 85, 6, 7 years old, living up in Maryland, retired. So the second generation is out of it. Third generation is controls the board. We have non-family management, top management, but there are still several members of the third generation still employed. My brother and I were the 2 oldest, but there are 5 Underdowns and 4 Simmonses. All but one of the Simmonses has worked for the company at one time or another. Some are retired now. Some have left for other reasons, start their own ventures or do other things, but they're still actively involved as a family company. We have 3 members of the 4th generation working. My son, my brother's son, and David Underdown, who is our chairman of the board's older son, are all in the company. They're moving up, going through different seats and doing very well. 5th generation, I think we had 5 of the 5th generation that are doing summer internships. OSHA's a lot stronger now than it was when my brother and I and some of the other third generation members came along. They don't. They really watch who goes out in the plant and what they're doing. It wasn't always the case then, but so we're very stringently following all regulations with fifth generation out in the plant.